Hey, what's going on? So I just finished a movie, and it was based on this idea of how important it is to make sure that we take care of our seeds, right? And in the past, I've contemplated the idea that it is extremely important, right? There are genetic material within seeds that make it good for us basically to be able to plant and create agriculture, right? We could go into the conversation basically about how over thousands of years agriculture has basically gotten us to the point where we're self-sufficient enough to be away from the majority of the hunting that a lot of people did, the hunting and gathering, right? With the creation of agriculture, it gave us ample opportunity to be able to, have time, right? And once we had time on our hands, it gave us the opportunity to start, thinking maybe philosophically, maybe thinking internally about the ethics that we have within our own personal psyche, right? And I thought that that was such a good movie. I posted it on my Twitter account, so if you have an opportunity, go ahead and visit my Twitter account so that you can see the movie itself. But I also think it's extremely important for us to start having this conversation, right? We currently have a seed vault, right? We have a seed vault just in case something, catastrophic event basically interrupted our ability to be able to continue as a civilization, right? And that's, we have a global seed vault, and then individual countries, they have their own seed vaults, right? It came to my attention that during during wars that we had over in oil-rich countries, that we attacked certain areas that had their seed vaults, right? And it makes me question our intentions towards how we're going to be able to handle difficulty, handle stress, handle hardship, handle the ailments basically of humanity. I wouldn't like to say like the human condition, but that's what it's looking like, right? So what I wanted to do is just put myself in a different position and hopefully have a conversation with you as the listener or the viewer, to see if you have a different view or a different perspective on kind of how these situations are going and what we can do to be able to change it, right? So if the roles were reversed and we had an external country that decided that they wanted to, either attack the United States or decided that they wanted to, attack specifically the seeds, right? We'll start with the seeds, right? Well, interestingly enough, there was in that movie that I just posted on my Twitter account, it had mentioned how this company called Monsanto is basically taking it what's has been taking advantage of the majority of humanity, of the way in which we were able to receive food, right? So it leads me to assume that we've created policy and legislation to prevent situations where people that were lobbyists for specific countries would enter into the arena of politics, right? Because there would be a conflict of interest in that situation, right? Surprisingly enough, that we haven't done that. Matter of fact, there was another portion in that movie that talked about how we've been able to basically create a situation where the policy and legislation hasn't been created to be able to create division between the lobbyists, right? And on top of that, that company that I just mentioned, Monsanto's, they also created patents basically to control GMOs, genetically altered foods, right? Well, what ended up happening, as explained in the video, is that there was a situation where certain crops were being infected by Monsanto's crop, right? Well, what would happen if you had one stalk of wheat or corn or something, and a mile down the road you had another stalk of corn, right? And the wind might have picked up the draft or something and gotten to the other area, and then the farmers were trying to create a revolt because there was a situation where it's such an interesting movie, and I really do hope that if you have an opportunity, if you're bored or anything and you just want to have an interesting perspective, an open perspective on some of the difficulties that we're currently going through, right? There was in the movie, one of the quotes that they had mentioned is that if you want to control a nation, right, you try your best to control the oil. If you want to control a population, you control their food. If you want to control something along the lines of the further generations, then you control the seeds for that food. And I think that that's such an interesting concept, and it also brings into question this idea that a lot of people have mentioned before, where there's a strong relationship that we should have with our environment, and not only with the environment, but there could be a meaning and a purpose behind having all the animals of the land and of the sea and all the plants being used in a medicinal way, right? There are ancient cultures basically that use this exact same ideology or this exact same mentality in the same way that we have different ideologies basically for our political arenas, right? I think that we have different ideologies towards how we see the environment, and if we are tampering basically with the majority of how our food production works, then that's a conversation that I think that we should start. If you agree with that information, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe as usual. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel. I think that it's time for us to try to go ahead and pass a basic income here in 2021. It's extremely crucial that we're able to do so due to the fact that we've had a section of the population that was basically placed in a disadvantaged portion. I just wanted to end the video with that idea. If you agree with that information, as I just mentioned, you can also donate to the company so that we could hopefully take the channel to a higher level. Oh, by the way, I also wanted to mention that I think it was Chuck Schumer recently mentioned that they're going to try to pass policy and legislation, basically for them to be able to pass legislation and policy so that we can legalize marijuana, right? I think that this is a perfect environment for us to start having a conversation on being able to take care of not only of the environment, but the plants ourselves. What better situation would it be to introduce the United States, basically reintroduce the United States to agriculture by being able to pass legislation on decriminalizing medical marijuana? I think that the next medicinal plant that's going to be legalized has to, in my opinion, I would like to see medical mushrooms or medicinal mushrooms legalized entirely. Matter of fact, I would love to see them, I don't want to say as a controlled substance, such as like alcohol and cigarettes, but I think that that might be one of the routes for us to be able to take until the majority of people are able to basically learn how to raise and grow their own weed and their own mushrooms. So yeah, that's a lot of information. I hope that you like that. Have a good day.